It started raining before I even left the office. One of those sudden, heavy city storms that turn sidewalks into rivers and umbrellas into small, fragile shields. I watched from the glass doors of the lobby, clutching my bag, trying to decide if I cared enough about my hair, my shoes, my sanity to wait it out. Before we step into this rainy, intimate Sapphic moment together, if you love WLW stories full of quiet tension, slow burn chemistry, and emotional connection, don't forget to subscribe to Sapphic Fiction Hub. New Sapphic stories arrive every day to keep you company. The answer was no. I didn't care enough. I just wanted to go home. So I stepped outside. The rain was worse than it had looked from inside. Loud, relentless, soaking everything it touched. Within seconds, droplets slipped under my collar and down my spine. I tightened my grip on my coat, hunched my shoulders, and started walking. My umbrella was old, one of those cheap ones you buy from a street vendor when you're desperate. The wind tugged at it relentlessly, bending its thin metal frame, threatening to flip it inside out. Of course, I muttered under my breath. Of course, this is happening. My phone buzzed in my bag, another message I didn't want to read, another reminder of the conversation I'd been avoiding for weeks. I ignored it, focusing on the sound of my own footsteps splashing through puddles. And then, out of nowhere, the wind won. The umbrella snapped backward, turning inside out with a loud, humiliating whoosh. Rain hit my face in a cold, unforgiving sheet. I stopped in the middle of the sidewalk, holding the useless, twisted metal handle, feeling ridiculous. That's when another umbrella appeared above my head. A navy blue canopy slid over me, soft and sudden, shielding me from the worst of the downpour. I blinked, startled, and turned my head. She was standing beside me. A stranger. Just there. She was holding the umbrella between us, arms stretched wide so we both fit under it. Her coat was already soaked at the shoulders, raindrops clinging to her dark hair. "You looked like you needed a rescue," she said, voice warm, lips curling into a small, amused smile. Yeah, I managed. My umbrella lost the will to live." She glanced at the twisted mess in my hand and laughed, a low, genuine sound that rolled through the rain like something bright. "Looks like it did," she said. "I'm Avery. Emma." "Well, Emma," she said, shifting slightly so her shoulder brushed mine, "you're going to catch a cold if you keep standing here. I don't live far. I'll be okay." "Good, because I'm walking with you." We started down the sidewalk, our steps falling into an easy rhythm. The rain was still wild around us, bouncing off car roofs, streaming down windows, forming miniature rivers at the edges of curbs. But inside the small circle of dry space beneath the umbrella, it felt strangely calm. "Do you always rescue strangers in storms?" I asked. "Only the ones whose umbrellas surrender dramatically. You looked like you'd had a long day." "That obvious?" She shrugged one shoulder. "You had that look." "What look?" "The if one more thing goes wrong, I might cry or laugh or both look." I let out a breath that was almost a laugh. "You're not wrong." "Rough day at work?" "Rough month," I admitted. She glanced at me, eyes soft. "Want to talk about it?" "Not really." "Then we won't," she said simply. "We can talk about something else." I looked at her, surprised. "Like what?" "Anything," she said. "Tell me something that makes you feel peaceful." I thought for a moment, the question catching me off guard in a good way. "The sound of pages turning in a bookstore and the smell of old paper." Avery smiled. "You read a lot?" "I used to. Lately, I've just worked a lot." "Well," she said, "I hope you go back to reading." "You sound very sure." "I am," she said lightly. "The way your face softened when you talked about it, that means you miss it." Her attention felt
intimate. Not invasive, just observant in a way I wasn't used to. "What about you?" I asked. "What makes you feel peaceful?" She considered this for a moment as we walked. "Rain," she said finally. "This, actually. Nights like this." "Seriously?" "Yes. You like getting drenched and saving strangers?" She laughed again, the sound vibrating through the small space we shared. "I like the sound of it," she said. "The way it makes the world feel smaller, like everything slows down for a little while and people either hurry past each other or share an umbrella." There it was again, that gentle, almost invisible line of intention in her voice. I felt my cheeks warm. We reached a crosswalk, the signal glowing red. Cars hissed past through the rain, their headlights streaking across the wet pavement. We stopped side by side, the umbrella tilted forward slightly, water dripping from its edges. The streetlight above us cast a soft glow over Avery's face. Droplets clung to her eyelashes, her lips slightly parted as she breathed in the cold air. "Are you always this kind?" I asked. "You say that like it's suspicious." "It kinda is," I said with a small smile. She smiled back, slower this time. "I try to be," she said. "But tonight I had a selfish reason." "Oh?" I lifted a brow. "And what was that?" "I didn't want to walk alone." Something in my chest tightened. Not in a painful way, but in a way that made me suddenly aware of how close we were standing, how the umbrella forced us into this small, shared space. "I get that," I murmured. The light turned green. We stepped off the curb together. "So," Avery said as we crossed, "where am I walking you to?" "Just a few blocks ahead," I pointed. "The building with the red brick and the stubborn front door." Stubborn front doors are a personality test. If you don't scare easily, you get in. "Do you talk like this to everyone you meet in the rain?" "No," she said. "Just you." The words hung there, suspended between us like mist. She didn't rush to take them back. I didn't rush to pretend I hadn't heard them. "Is that a line?" I asked, trying to sound playful. "It's an observation," she replied softly. "About what?" "About the way this feels." My breath hitched. "How does it feel?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she shifted the umbrella to her left hand, and with the other, lightly brushed her fingers across the back of my sleeve, a fleeting, testing touch, as if she were checking if I'd pull away. I didn't. "It's unexpected, in a nice way." "Yeah," I said quietly. "It does." We turned down my street. It was quieter, lined with older buildings and trees that dripped rain from their leaves. The storm had softened slightly, the downpour easing into a steadier, gentler fall. "That's me," I pointed to the building ahead. "Top floor. Good for the view, bad for groceries." "You really do understand everything." I smiled. "I pay attention," she replied. We stopped at the entrance. The small awning above the door provided a bit of extra shelter, and Avery closed the umbrella, shaking off the excess water with a flick of her wrist. Without the barrier above us, I felt more exposed to the rain, to the night, to her. She was closer now, close enough that I could see the faint freckles across her nose, her damp strands of hair sticking to her forehead, the softness in her eyes. "Thank you," I said, "for walking me." "You're welcome. Thank you for letting me." We stood there, neither of us moving, the air thick with something unspoken. "Do you always do that?" I asked quietly. "Do what? Offer shelter and then just walk away?" She tilted her head, studying me, a small smile touching her lips. "Do you want me to walk away?" The question was gentle, but it landed heavy. "No," I said, before I could overthink it. I don't. Her eyes flicked down to my mouth and back again. Then I won't, she murmured. The rain softened even more, becoming a background hum. Can I ask you something honest? She said. Yes. Were you having a bad night before the umbrella snapped? I exhaled. Yeah. Do you want to talk about it now? No, I said, but I like that you asked. She nodded, accepting that. Okay, she said. Then I'll ask something else. Go ahead. Do you feel better now than you did when you left the building? I thought about it, about the cold and the weight I'd felt earlier. Yes, I admitted. A lot better. She smiled, really smiled this time, the kind that reaches the eyes and stays there. Good, she said softly. Then the rescue mission was a success. Our eyes locked and held, the tension between us growing warmer, sharper, but still tender. Emma, she said, voice quieter now, can I do something a little bold? My heart sped up. What? I whispered. If it feels wrong, you can tell me to stop. Okay. She stepped closer, slow and deliberate, closing the small space between us. I could feel her breath mixing with mine, the faint scent of rain and something floral lingering on her skin. Her hand lifted, slow, careful, until her fingertips brushed my cheek, tucking a wet strand of hair behind my ear. Is this okay? She asked softly. Yes. Her tongue lingered against my skin, tracing lightly along my jaw. Emma, she whispered, I really want to kiss you right now. My pulse roared in my ears, but the fear I might have felt wasn't there. Just warmth. Just a quiet, surprising certainty. Then do it, I said. She leaned in. The kiss was soft, unhurried, gentle, tasting of rain and possibility. Her hand slid to the back of my neck, holding me there, as if she were afraid I'd vanish. I melted into her, fingers curling into the fabric of her coat. The world blurred, the street, the cars, the storm, all dissolving into the warmth of her mouth against mine. When we finally parted, our foreheads rested together. She left softly, breath shaky. Okay, she whispered. That was really nice. Yeah, I said, equally breathless. Yeah, it was. We stayed like that for a moment, eyes closed, breathing the same small pocket of air. I should let you go up, she said eventually. You're soaked. So are you, I replied. She smiled. Worth it. I opened my eyes, searching her face. Will I see you again? Yes, she said immediately. If you want to. I do. She stepped back just enough to look at me properly. There's a coffee shop around the corner, tomorrow morning. 8:30? 8:30, I repeated, like a promise. Good, Avery said, her eyes bright, even in the gray light. I'll bring the umbrella this time, just in case. And with one last, lingering look, she turned and walked back into the rain. No umbrella now, just her head tilted up, letting it fall over her like she belonged in it. I watched her disappear down the sidewalk, heart beating faster than it had in weeks. Then I went inside, carrying the warmth of that kiss up the stairs with me, the storm outside suddenly feeling a little less loud. If this rainy, slow-burn Sapphic story made you feel warm, seen, or just a little less alone tonight, don't forget to subscribe to Sapphic Fiction Hub. New women-loving women stories arrive every single day, each one a small shelter in its own way.